Hey, this is Ryzen Tech. Today, we'll discuss about comparison of the iPhone 14 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Make sure you click the subscribe button now. And enable notifications if this is your first time seeing my video. Comparison of the iPhone 14 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Samsung's Galaxy S23 Ultra is a high-end smartphone that competes with Apple's iPhone 14 Pro, featuring a 200-megapixel camera, a high-resolution 6.8-inch display, and a stylus. Samsung's flagship Galaxy lineup is arguably more diverse than Apple's iPhone lineup. Instead of two tiers of devices and two different sizes to choose from in the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro families, the Galaxy S23 offers three variants with a wider range of specifications to choose from. At the top of the lineup is the Galaxy S23 Ultra, which is not only larger than the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus but also has more cameras, a massive 200MP sensor, and stylus support. It is thus only appropriate to compare the Galaxy S23 Ultra to the iPhone 14 Pro range, its main rival at the top of the smartphone food chain. Some updates may not be available on all devices at the same time. We're working hard to ensure that updates are ready and compatible. Galaxy S23 Ultra vs iPhone 14 Pro, display. With its 6.8-inch S23 Ultra screen, it's safe to say that Samsung has gone all out. The diagonal exceeds both the 6.7-inch iPhone 14 Pro and the 6.1-inch iPhone 14 Pro screens. Samsung also takes the lead in terms of resolution thanks to its 3088 by 1440 screen, which has a pixel density of 500 per inch. In contrast, the densities of the 2796 by 1290 Pro Max and the 2556 by 1179 resolution iPhone 14 Pro are both 460p. Samsung uses an always-on dynamic AMOLED 2X display with a contrast ratio of 3,000,000:1 and a maximum brightness of 1750 nits. The screen, which is HDR10+ certified, provides 100% coverage of mobile color volume in the DCI-P3 color space. An all-screen, always-on OLED with HDR support, broad color, P3, coverage, and True Tone is featured on the iPhone. Although it has a slightly lower contrast ratio of 2,000,000:1, it outshines the Ultra with 1000 nits of regular maximum brightness, 1600 nits of peak HDR brightness, and 2000 nits of peak outdoor brightness. With the iPhone, both display types support ProMotion, which offers adjustable refresh rates up to 120 Hz. Samsung also boasts a 240 Hz touch sampling rate in game mode. Theoretically, this will improve the responsiveness of mobile game controls. Galaxy S23 Ultra vs iPhone 14 Pro, processor. The A16 Bionic chip, a hexa-core CPU with 4 efficiency and 2 performance cores, powers Apple's iPhone 14 Pro. Along with a 5-core GPU and a 16-core neural engine, it can perform around 17 trillion operations per second. Samsung, on the other hand, makes use of the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 mobile platform, an octa-core processor with 13.36 GHz Cairo Prime core, 4 2.8 GHz Cairo Gold cores, and 3 2.0 GHz Cairo Silver cores. Additionally, the chip has an Adreno GPU with hardware-accelerated ray tracing for better lighting and shadows in video games and a 4.35x improvement in machine learning performance over the previous generation. Real-time semantic segmentation, a computational photographic processing method that applies noise reduction, sharpening, and color correction in as many as 8 photo layers, is another feature of the Snapdragon. Battery comparison, Galaxy S23 Ultra vs iPhone 14 Pro. The battery life of the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max is extremely long, with up to 23 hours and 29 hours of local video playback, respectively, or up to 20 hours or 25 hours of streaming video. Similarly, audio playback on the Pro is limited to 75 hours and 95 hours on the Pro Max. Samsung does not specify how long the battery in the S23 Ultra can last, but it is the largest in the lineup at 5000 mAh. This isn't a good indicator of how much battery life you'll get out of it because it depends on what you're doing and other factors, but it should last quite a while. The iPhone 14 Pro supports MagSafe wireless charging at up to 15 watts, Qi wireless charging at up to 7.5 watts, and charging via Lightning. There's also fast charging capability, with a 20 watts or higher adapter allowing it to reach 50% charge in around 30 minutes. Samsung includes a 45 watts USB PD 3.0 super fast wired charging component, as well as fast wireless charging 2.0 support. Wireless power share, a clever party trick, allows you to recharge another Qi-compatible device using the Galaxy S23 Ultra zone charging coil and battery. That is, an iPhone can be charged using Samsung's wireless power share feature. Cameras, Galaxy S23 Ultra versus iPhone 14 Pro. Apple's iPhone 14 Pro camera system consists of 3 imaging sensors on the back, which is an improvement over previous generations. The main camera on the iPhone is the star of the show, with a high 48-megapixel resolution, sensor-shift optical image stabilization, and a quad-pixel arrangement. This latter point combines each 4 pixels into a single larger quad-pixel equivalent to 2.44 microns, which aids in low-light imaging. A 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera with WAI is also available for macro photography. Finally, there's a 12-megapixel 3x telephoto lens with WAI. Apple does use the primary camera to generate a phantom fourth lens with 2x optical zoom and sensor shift WAI, but it's a crop of the 48MP sensor. Deep Fusion computational photography, various portrait mode and portrait lighting options, photographic styles, night mode portraits enhanced by a LiDAR scanner, and a 15x digital zoom are among the features of Apple's cameras. The highest-end device from Samsung includes 4 cameras, beginning with a 12MP ultra-wide camera and progressing to a pair of 10MP telephoto cameras with 3x and 10x zoom levels. Finally, there's the 200MP wide camera, with an 1.7 aperture and pixel size as small as 0.65 microns. It can, however, output images at 12MP with an equivalent pixel size of 2.4 microns, a trick similar to the iPhone's quad pixel. These cameras all have WAI as well as a laser autofocus system. The camera's zooms, which Samsung refers to as space zoom, also rely heavily on machine learning. By combining the 3x and 10x optical telephoto cameras with Samsung's AI super resolution technology, a 30x and 100x space zoom is possible. This sounds impressive, but the company admits that if you zoom in past the optical zoom point, there may be some image deterioration, so don't expect perfect quality images under these conditions. Samsung also includes a scene optimizer, shot suggestions, panorama, food, and night modes, as well as portraits, among other smart modes. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel now and turn on the